Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. I apologize that we're running just a couple of moments late. My name is Katie, and I'd like to welcome you all to Senator Tillis's 2022 Service Academy Information Day. Scott Miller and I are both with Senator Tillis's office, as well as Kim Barnes, who's on the call. She's our state director, and we all assist Senator Tillis with his nominations. We are honored to have representatives from each of the United States Service Academies, the North Carolina National Guard, and the North Carolina State University Air Force ROTC joining us today. They are all going to talk about some opportunities that are available to you after graduation, and Scott is going to go through and outline the senator's nomination application as well. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and type them into the chat box. Scott and I and Kim will be monitoring those questions. We'll do our best to address them during the presentation if it applies to everybody, but if it is specific to yourself, we'll probably touch base with you after and connect you with the representative from the Academy. If you have any questions after the presentation, Scott and I are always available. Please go ahead and you can either email us at academynominations_tillis@tillis.senate.gov, or you're welcome to give us a call in either the Raleigh or the Charlotte offices, and those phone numbers can be found on tillis.senate.gov. So while the senator is not able to join us this morning, he did want to welcome you all. So he recorded a video message, and I am going to go ahead and share that.
Good morning. I'm excited to welcome you to my office's 2022 Service Academy Information Day. One of my favorite parts of being in the United States Senate is having the privilege of nominating exceptional young men and women to our nation's Service Academy. Today, we have representatives from the Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy, the Merchant Marine Academy, West Point, and Annapolis, the ROTC, and the North Carolina National Guard. I would also like to recognize and thank members of my Academy Nominations Board who are with us today. I'm happy to be able to host this event to provide you with information on several post-graduation opportunities available to North Carolina students. You've taken the first step towards your future, and I'm thankful for your interest in serving our country. You represent the next generation of leaders in our nation, and I wish you continued success in this process and all of your future endeavors. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, I hope that everybody enjoyed the video from the senator. And our first presenter today is Scott Miller from our office, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the Academy nominations process.
Hey everyone, thanks for being here. Make sure there I got PowerPoint shared over. So like Katie said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over the senator's nomination process. That's how to get to the application, the expectations on the application, and just a couple little facts about how our process works. Who can apply? Our application is open to second semester high school juniors and above who live in North Carolina. Application is open from March 1st to October 21st. That's a midnight deadline, or just before midnight on the 21st. It's a hard deadline. Applicants are able to see the progress of their application. If one segment of your application is not complete at the deadline, your application will not be accepted. It's your responsibility to make sure your application is complete. Just sending an email at 10 p.m. the day the application is due, that's probably not going to get seen. We're not going to be able to assist you. So really stay on top of that. Check your checklist. Make sure everything's in. If something's not acceptable, we try to stay on top of it and give you a chance to replace it before the deadline. So just keep checking your application before the deadline ends. Putting it in the mail before the deadline is not good enough as well. There's almost zero exceptions to this deadline. Each year we typically get about 400 students that apply. That is why we can normally only give you your first choice nomination academy to nominate to. Your representatives typically can nominate you to multiple academies. Just due to the number of applications we get, we're really only allowed to consider you for your first choice. As far as who you should contact for a nomination, obviously our office, Senator Burr's office, but it is okay to use every nominating source you have available to you. So don't just think you have to apply to one member of Congress, apply to both senators, your representative, and if you're eligible for a vice presidential nomination also. In order to access the application, you're going to go to the website Katie mentioned earlier, tillis.senate.gov. You're going to go to the Services tab, hit For Students. It'll pop up this page, pretty self-explanatory. You'll hit Academy Nominations. This will bring you to a page that has a video with information on each academy, other expectations for our application. But in order to access the application itself, you're going to go there where it's circled in red. On the page, it's a little bit difficult to see, but it'll just say online application in blue rather than black. You'll click on that. It'll bring you to the actual application page, which is the oampublic.senate.gov. If you've already created an account, that's great. This is just for people who haven't, or a refresher. You're going to hit create an account. Also, keep in mind that due date you see at the top is not for this year. This is just an example page from a few years ago. So the due date this year is October 21st. Once you click on create account, pretty simple. You're going to go through, put all your pertinent information in, and then hit create account at the bottom. That's going to send you an email activation link. You'll just need to check that, go through the process that gives you. That's what it's going to look like. And then great, you're in your application. Once you have your account started, you're going to hit start your application there at the bottom. So this is what your application is going to look like. You'll have your checklist on the side. Those are things that you upload yourself. Letters of recommendation can be sent to our Raleigh office if teachers don't want you reading their letters. That's fine, and we'll upload them. Otherwise, you're responsible for your checklist. Once you complete something, that checklist will give you a green check mark. Like I said, we try to go through it and check for letters of recommendation that don't meet the requirements and give that feedback to you. So just keep checking that checklist. Once everything's green, you're good to go. There's no button to hit to submit. You just need to make sure everything is green. You need to follow all instructions here. They're very specific. Failure to follow them, and if you don't check your checklist regularly, will lead to your application not being accepted if you don't have everything in there to the standards that the instructions put forth. First step, though, before you get to the checklist, you want to submit your questionnaire. You're going to go through there, and in this section, it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, you'll put your personal information in, your academy preference, and then your academic information. Like I said, we only take your first choice. Because of the number of applications we receive, we're usually only able to consider you for your first choice of academy. If you're torn between multiple academies, I would recommend diversifying your preference among offices. For instance, if you selected West Point as your first choice for our office, then it might be better for you to select Naval or Air Force office. And again, like I said, your rep can, in the House of Representatives, can normally consider you and nominate you to multiple academies. If you're in your first semester of college, you obviously won't have an established GPA here on the academics. So we just want your most recent GPA from your senior year of high school. Please pay attention and follow instructions. It's very important that you get your school's GPA scale correct. We need to know how to tell if your GPA is good or not. Obviously, a 3.8 on a 4.0 scale is much better than a 3.8 on a 5.0 scale. So getting this wrong could hurt your application. So just make sure you talk to your counselor at your school, understand how their GPA scales work, what scale they're on, and what your GPA looks like on that weighted scale. You're going to go through here again, your SAT scores, ACT scores. We super score So give us your best segment scores from individual tests. Don't try averaging your segments from multiple tests. If you don't want to report your score for one of the tests, just fill it out as if you have not taken it. And there are the instructions. If you have not taken it, you see there, please put 1. So if you don't want to share that test score, if you're just not proud of it or don't have one or anything like that, just fill it out as if you haven't taken it. Follow the instructions exactly. We don't need STEM or ELA or writing scores. Don't get creative trying to incorporate them in somehow. We just need the math and reading section, English and science for SAT or ACT as well. That's it for the application. It's pretty straightforward. Again, as long as you follow the instructions and read carefully, you should breeze right through it. We've set it up pretty simply as long as you follow the instructions. So I'll wrap up with some brief facts about how we interview and nominate. Each year, we interview between 30 and 35 candidates per academy. Interviews are conducted by a board composed of academy alumni or representatives. The board select 10 nominees per year. And that's our board's decision to make. You know, we kind of narrow it down to the interviewees, but we leave it up to the board to select our 10 nominees per academy. And then we do typically have a nomination ceremony with the senator in Charlotte, you know, scheduled, COVID pending, as everything is right now. Lastly, parents, if you're on here or students, let your parents know. We want the application to be driven by you, the applicant. We as a staff notice when we only hear from parents and never the applicant, and it reflects poorly on their application. If there are any questions, please have your son or daughter contact our office and ask them. Our board members are looking for candidates who are motivated for the right reasons to attend these institutions. If the applicant cannot advocate on their own behalf or a nomination, then it is not likely that the board would want to choose them for a service academy. Katie, that's all I have. Thanks for joining on and listening. And then, like Katie said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through our email, the website, or call our Charlotte office. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. So our first academy that's being represented today is the United States Air Force Academy. We've got Second Lieutenant Ryder Toila on, and he is actually a 2022 graduate of the Air Force Academy and a member of the 3rd class to graduate into the Space Force. So Lieutenant Toila, it is all you.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. I just want to start things off by thanking everybody for your time today. Something else that is about my bio is that I'm actually from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I worked in Senator Tillis' office back in 2017 in order to get my nomination to the Air Force Academy. So it's really cool to be back and helping the office out. That helped me out. So I want to start off by showing this picture here, because this is the beautiful campus in Colorado Springs, the United States Air Force Academy. Something about this that I really wanted to put in here is because I didn't get to see this campus until the first day that I stepped off the bus for basic cadet training. And so now you guys can't say that. So you guys get to see it. It's awesome and beautiful. Before I jump into this presentation, though, I just want to commend each and every one of you for your time and for your aptitude and desire to attend not just the Air Force Academy, but any of the academies or commissioning opportunities that you'll hear from today. It's truly an incredible educational opportunity, and it'll set you miles ahead of your peers as far as just career development and just set you up well for your future. Something that I want to note too is that no matter which opportunity, which route you try to go towards, whether it's Air Force, West Point, Navy, any of the other different opportunities you'll hear from today, they're all incredible opportunities. You really can't go wrong. And what I encourage you to look at, or to factor heavily into your decision-making process, is what you want to do after graduation. So I, as a representative of the Air Force Academy, can't tell you that this is the best place to go if you want to work with boats and sail the 7 seas in your time. But I can't tell you that's the best place to go if you want to drive tanks and operate heavy artillery and cannons and those sorts of things. It's just, this isn't the place for that. But if your heart desires to soar the skies and look beyond that into space, that's what the Air Force Academy has for you. So I will highlight a few things about our academic programs that set us apart a little bit from our sister services, as well as other educational opportunities in our academics. So at the Air Force Academy, we have a heavy focus on aeronautical engineering. This is seen, and we have 5 different wind tunnels in our aeronautical engineering labs. We also have cadaver labs in our biology department. We have many different capstone research opportunities for any and all majors, which I want to touch on here just briefly. So as you can see, we have over 35 different majors, as well as 18 different minors, and I believe 9 different foreign language opportunities. So we're very, very diverse in our educational opportunities. And with that diversity, you'll see that every cadet graduates the academy with a bachelor's of science. So I myself was a management major in my time at the academy. So I have a bachelor's of science in management. And this is in order to give every cadet just this whole well-rounded educational opportunities. So we all are very diverse in our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics portions of our study, as well as being able to be very competitive in our own fields of research. So myself, being a management major, we're ranked amongst the top management programs in the country, even though our school focuses primarily on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Moving into our athletics that we offer at the academy, we primarily participate in the Mountain West Conference, and we do so at a very high level. We won our track conference championship 2 years in a row. Actually, it's something that I really want to point out because I just think it's absolutely hilarious. There are 5 schools or 5 NCAA Division I football teams projected to go undefeated in the regular season next year. It's Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Air Force Academy, and Utah. So pretty elite club to be in. So you guys can see that we participate in a high level in every and all facets of cadet life. Moving on to our military opportunities at the academy. So there's incredible military opportunities that you'll see each and every day, whether it's the top left picture, where it's practicing our military customs and courtesies and traditions, with marching to our lunge formations, whether it's your top right, where you're practicing survival skills in between your freshman and sophomore year summer, and going out and hanging out in the desert, playing in the mud and stuff like that. It's your bottom left, where it's our former graduates coming back to the academy and showing off their awesome airframes for the cadets with frequent flyovers that we have, or whether it's your bottom right, where cadets participate in our National Character and Leadership Symposium. We bring in industry leaders across the world, whether it's politicians, whether it's professional athletes, military leaders. This past year, we actually had Elon Musk come out, and I actually myself was able to have a little bit of time to ask some questions and actually get a selfie with him. So that was a really cool opportunity. Moving on to the meat of what I want to talk about is how the academy differs from the other service academy opportunities with things that you can experience while at the academy. So there are many different programs and summer opportunities, as well as internship opportunities that we offer throughout your entire time here that just need their specific time to be talked about. So one of these ways, one of these things we have throughout the year is cadet clubs. Now, every interest, every aptitude that you have, the academy has something to cater towards that. And I mean everything. In landlocked Colorado, we have a deep sea diving club. I don't know how they do that. I don't know where they go or what they do, but we have something that caters towards that interest. And we have something that can apply to each and every interest that you have. And if we don't, then you're able to create one. We have over 90 active clubs, and we're always welcome, always willing to have many, many more. If you have an interest, we can cater towards it. If we don't, you can create it. We actually we had an esports gaming club that was created in this past year. I believe it was 2 years ago, actually. You guys might know that that's on the rise, and so cadets had the desire to make a club, and now they've created one and compete internationally. Moving on to our different travel programs that we have that I think are just incredible opportunities. I'm going to talk about foreign exchange, language immersion, and cultural immersion all at the same time in tandem. So foreign exchange is more so focused towards sending cadets for a semester exchange to allied countries to go live, work, and study at their service academies to get a taste of both cultural immersion as well as get an understanding for how our allied nations participate and operate in military activities, as well as just getting that worldliness that just makes you a more well-rounded person. Language immersion is a shorter program. It's a 3-week course where cadets are able to go to, again, other countries, allied countries, where you're able to stay with the sponsor, just immerse yourself in the language and the culture, and again, getting that worldliness. And then finally, cultural immersion is similar to that of language immersion, where cadets are able to, again, go to different countries. Experience that I had with this, a good friend of mine, she actually went to Vietnam and Cambodia Actually, she just got back about a month and a half ago, where she was able to do a service project, and her service project was bathing elephants. So you can imagine that was a really fun time. I think hers was actually named Sophie. So really cool opportunity to just be immersed in the environment and have fun while learning about different cultures and learning about different walks of life. Moving on to Operations Air Force, the Air Force Academy will send you to a base across the United States. You'll be able to stay there for about 3 weeks and shadow different jobs and different career fields that you might have interest in, whether it's pilots, security forces, maintainers, or anything that the base could offer. It gives you a little chance to dip your toe into the pool of knowledge and just learn what you might want to do with your life. And then finally, we've got summer research where you can see a cadet is hanging out with a Chick-fil-A. We actually send cadets out to the private sector and learn from major companies, whether it's Microsoft, Google, Lockheed Martin. I had a friend who went out to California and worked with Lockheed and was able to work on lasers. It was a government-funded project where he was a junior in college, learning how to design and develop lasers that the United States military could use in action. So really cool opportunity. And then finally, we have Service Academy and ROTC Exchange, or what cadets call Air Force Appreciation Semester, where we'll actually send our cadets out to one of our sister service academies or ROTC to give them the opportunity to just learn about our sister services, because at the end of the day, it is one team, one fight, and we're all on the same team here. So it's a really cool opportunity to get shared understanding across our branch and understand what our fellow service members do. Moving on is our summer programs that we have here as well, more so tailored towards our aerospace opportunities. So the Air Force Academy would like to get you in the air a little bit. So in our top left and bottom right, you'll see opportunities that we have where, whether it's the jumping team or the glider program, as seen in our top left and bottom right, our cadets actually are able to go up and get some airtime. And something that I want to point out about our skydiving program here is it is the only place in the world where your first jump out of a plane is solo. That means you're not tied to the plane. There's nobody tied to your back. The first time you experience glorious, blissful free fall is by yourself. And I'm getting chills right now because it's honestly just an incredible experience that stuck with me at least for 5 years. It's an awesome opportunity. And on top right, something I want to highlight as well is our space programs. So cadets at the Air Force Academy are actually given the opportunity to develop satellites, launch them, and then operate them. A little fun fact is that the United States Air Force Academy owns and operates more satellites than over 180 countries in the world, and we're just a college. So definitely get an opportunity to get to experience some high-tech technology. And speaking of technology, our cyberspace program is something that's worth noting as well. You can see in that middle picture there, it's cadets operating cyberspace, learning how to hack, how to code, how to do things of that nature, all in a safe environment. And what I want to move on to is the career opportunities the Air Force Academy offers, or the Air Force offers in general. So we have over 35 different career opportunities, which is a very, very broad range and allows you to really specific and tailor what you want to a career field that matches that. As I noted, if you want to fly, if you want to go into space, or Space Force, I should say, the Air Force Academy is the place for you. Over 50% of our class graduates to become pilots, which is just the best possible odds you could have. I believe ROTC has the same number of pilots across a much larger pool. Navy offers it as well, but again, it's just a smaller pool, so it's just objectively, it's the best place to go if you want to fly. The Space Force is no different. 10% of our class graduates into the Space Force. We have about 110 spots, I believe, every year. And then ROTC has about 150, but again, this is spread out across the 150 different detachments. Navy and Army, I believe, have 4 spots combined. So if Space Force is what you want to do, the Air Force Academy is the place to come. And then finally, graduate school, 10% is just a massive number. Something I want to highlight with this is our medical school opportunities. So we offer about 25 to 30 different medical school spots per year, which is almost 3 times that of our counterparts. And so graduate school, medical school opportunities, furthering education, this is the place to come for those. Just on the screen here, I want to highlight some of the many different career opportunities we have here. On your middle column, you find jobs that are just our 5-year minimum service commitment with no required schooling, no specific degree, I should say. Whereas our far right column, these are jobs that are, again, only a 5-year commitment, but require specific degrees, which just makes sense. I mean, myself not being a chemist, you wouldn't want me to be a chemist. just kind of makes sense. And then our far left, these are jobs that require a little bit longer than 5-year service commitment, just because we put a little bit more training into you. So want a little bit more out of you. Then I want to highlight our Space Force opportunities. So I myself am in the middle job right there. I'm a space operator. 13 Sierra is my SFSC, Space Force Specialty Code. We also offer acquisitions, engineering, intelligence, cyber. These are just all awesome opportunities that I encourage you to explore and look into, because I'm a little bit biased, but I think Space Force is the best branch. And then with that, that'll conclude my presentation. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, and we can either connect you with the admissions folks or try and get the answers for you. So next up, we are going to hear from Lieutenant Matt McAllister. He is a 2010 graduate of the United States Coast Guard Academy.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my presentation here. Give me one sec. Up for you guys, and we'll get right into it. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules on a summer Saturday to join us and learn more about the service academies, the military in general, and the Coast Guard Academy. My name is Lieutenant Matthew McAllister. I'm actually a 2017 grad from the Coast Guard Academy. My predecessor, who did this last year, was from the class of 2010. But I currently serve as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Admissions Officer. I serve from New Jersey all the way down to North Carolina. So presuming that all of y'all are from North Carolina, I'll be your guy. So if you have any questions after this, my information is all up on our webpage. I'm happy to answer questions. That's why I'm here. What you see before you is the beautiful Coast Guard Academy campus, 103 acres located in scenic New London, Connecticut. As a Connecticut native myself, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think that this is the most beautiful site in all the world. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Coast Guard, since we are a bit different from the other armed services, and it's the organization that you'll join for your 5-year service commitment upon completion of your time at the Academy. We're one of the 6 U.S. armed services, the second smallest behind the Space Force. We're about 55,000 strong between our active duty officers, enlisted, and reservists. For a bit of a size comparison, the NYPD is about 50,000. So we're a federal service, and we're only slightly larger than the NYPD. And as I like to say it, we're small but mighty. I think our size is one of our biggest strengths. You'll see that in the Coast Guard Academy community, and you'll see that in the Coast Guard as well. We fall under the Department of Homeland Security and not the Department of Defense, like our fellow services. So that means we have a bit of a different mission set. And as I like to say it, we're kind of the multi-tool of the federal services. We revolve around a humanitarian focus. We possess unique organic law enforcement authorities. And we have an everyday tangible impact around the globe and in the communities that we serve daily. And I've got a quick video for you guys that kind of highlights the diversity of our career fields out there in the Coast Guard. Pretty cool stuff, in my opinion. Some of you may have seen the video of the Coastie banging on top of the narco submarine, the Alto Subarco video. That's actually the unit I just came from. I worked with both of those gentlemen at the tactical law enforcement team out in San Diego, California, and they're incredible people. It's an incredible mission. If you'd like to learn more about it too, I'm happy to answer questions about it. So on the right, you'll see our 11 statutory missions broken down into 3 categories. That's maritime safety, maritime security, and maritime stewardship. So we are a seagoing service. We're the longest continuous seagoing service. That's our little plug there. And we have a heavy influence in the maritime domain. On the left, you'll see the Coast Guard Academy's 9 academic majors. And you'll notice, again, we're a pretty STEM-heavy focus. We're consistently ranked one of the top engineering programs in the country and one of the best overall colleges in the Northeast region. No matter which of those 9 majors that you do end up choosing, you'll receive a Bachelor's of Science, much like the Air Force Academy. And you'll begin your 5-year service commitment in the Coast Guard carrying out those exciting humanitarian-focused missions. A few stats for you guys. 85% of those who graduate from the Academy will go on to earn graduate degrees that the Coast Guard will pay for. 85% of graduates also end up staying past their 5-year service commitment, myself included. I think that retention rate is something that we're extremely proud of, and it's something that speaks to the satisfaction that our officers get doing the missions and serving our fellow Americans. So let's talk a little bit about enrollment, what we look like at the Academy. We're one of the smallest service academies, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,100 cadets at any given time. We've had representatives from all 50 states, so even, Wyoming and Missouri, places that are pretty landlocked, coming to work on the coast here. We've also had international cadets representing 20 nations around the world. These statistics are a little bit old, but we're closer to 46% female now and 36% underrepresented minorities. Predominantly, our applicants and our cadets are high school varsity athletes, but you don't have to be a varsity athlete to get an appointment here. And 2/3 earn their engineering, math, or science degrees. So pretty outstanding stuff. So here's a list of our athletic programs, including varsity club and intramural sports. We've got a long list of cadet clubs, affinity councils, and other groups that serve to maximize the strength of our diverse cadet corps. We're predominantly an NCAA Division III program, but we do have a Division I program for sailing. So if you're interested in that, we compete at the highest levels. Myself, I actually had a classmate that competed in sailing in the 2022 Olympics. That's now retired Lieutenant Nikki Barnes. So pretty cool stuff there. I say that there's something for everybody here, and much like the Air Force Academies, and much like you'll see with our sister academies, if there isn't something that interests you, you are always empowered and have the opportunity to start that club, bring that interest, because I guarantee you're not the only person who's interested in what you're interested in. All right. So our leadership and professional development programs are woven throughout every area of the academy experience during your 4 years here. For leadership development, we have an on-campus think tank. It's called the Institute for Leadership, or the IFL. It essentially manages the entire leadership curriculum throughout the academy experience. And professional development programs run alongside the leadership development programs. So we use state-of-the-art simulators, training vessels on the academy waterfront. We use Coast Guard operational experiences to prepare you for the duties that you'll have upon graduation. And one of those, another benefit is you'll graduate with your 100-ton license. Every cadet goes through 4 years of nautical science and maritime studies here, so you'll walk out a credentialed mariner up to 100 tons. The Corps of Cadets is also entrusted with leading itself, so those leadership opportunities will only increase throughout your time at the academy. It's woven into the classroom settings, guest speakers, informal and formal discussions, interactions with dedicated active duty Coast Guard officers and enlisted members assigned to each cadet company, and most importantly, during your summer experiences. Most recognizable is your time aboard the Coast Guard Cutter Eagle, which I have behind me here, America's tall ship, and I've got a quick little video that highlights that as well. So one of my most vivid memories is atop the highest mast, the main mast of the Coast Guard cutter Eagle. Sun's going down, a whale is breaching. You couldn't dream of something more beautiful than that. So one of my most vivid summer memories. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk a little bit about what we look for in our applicants. Much like the other services, you'll see we're broken down into 3 pillars: academics, leadership, and athletics. For academics, what we want to see is that you're taking most challenging classes that you can effectively manage, and that you have the academic aptitude to make it here at the Coast Guard Academy. It's a pretty rigorous academic course load with that STEM background, as I mentioned. So your calculus, chemistry, and physics are our big 3 that we tend to look for. And if you have any questions on that, please, again, hit me up, send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions about course loads and help build your curriculum moving forward. For leadership, we want to see sustained and impactful positions of leadership in whatever community you're a part of, whether that's your sports communities, class council, volunteerism, extracurriculars, ROTC programs, Sea Cadets. We want to see that you have the propensity to lead yourself and lead others. And then athletics. As I mentioned, you don't have to be a varsity athlete to get in here. We do like to see that you have the physical fitness in order to meet the rigorous demands of being an officer in the military and an officer in the Coast Guard. So application requirements, much like some of our sister academies, our application is entirely done online. One of the things that I want to highlight is our physical fitness exam. It is a little bit different than the other service academies. It is a 3-event fitness exam: cadence push-ups, 2 minutes of timed sit-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. So while the others use the CFA, we use the PFE. Another quality unique to the Coast Guard Academy is that we don't actually require a congressional nomination. Our application is solely merit-based. We want to see who you are as an individual, that you are a leader of character, and that you can stand up on your own 2 feet and say, yes, I do want to join the Coast Guard. I want to be a part of this great service. We do use the Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board, or DODMERB. That process runs concurrently to your application process. And if you need any guidance or questions on that, again, please feel free to reach out. And lastly, action items. What can you take away from this to help prepare you for the Coast Guard Academy application, the Coast Guard Academy, or any of the service academies? Highly encourage folks to reach out to their admissions officer. So for you North Carolina natives, congratulations. Good to meet you, Lieutenant McAllister. That personal connection goes a long way for us at the Coast Guard Academy. It speaks to the small nature of our academy and of our service. Come to our campus programs, right? So we have a number of campus programs that we set up: the Bears Day, the Cadet for a Day programs, where you're actually getting an immersive experience with the Corps of Cadets, so you can ask them questions, ask questions of the admissions staff, and really dig into that knowledge that you're looking for. And for our rising juniors out there, the Academy Introductory Mission, or AIM program, is probably the #1 summer program that we offer. It's a week-long immersive program similar to some of the other summer seminars. And it's the best way to learn more about the Academy, learn about the Coast Guard beyond the Academy. And it's the best opportunity that folks have to learn about our service and what we do. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, I'll point everybody in the direction of our website, uscga.edu. Pretty comprehensive, all kinds of good info on there, as well as my contact information. Please feel free to reach out, and thanks again for your time, everybody.
Thank you so much. So our next presenter is Dr. David Sanborn of the United States Merchant Marine Academy. He's a graduate of the class of 1973, and he is currently the president of the United States Merchant Marine Academy Tar Heel alumni chapter. So Dr. Sanborn, the floor is yours, and I will go ahead and pull up your PowerPoint.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate Katie's assistance today. She's going to be my mentor, if you will, and help me with getting through the slideshow. And I do apologize for being the reason why we started a little bit late. We had to get the technology right, and so hopefully I can get everyone back on schedule. As Katie pointed out, I am a 1973 graduate of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Marine Transportation and immediately went into the Navy Reserve. And I'll explain some of that a little bit later in my presentation. But I'm what we call a decky, in that I learned all about navigation, star sights, and moving ships around. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Again, thank you to Senator Tillis and his staff for putting this thing together. It's a pleasure to speak to everybody, and if you have any questions, please do let me know. Okay, Katie. The purpose of the Merchant Marine Academy is to graduate people to go into the maritime industry. And you have heard a lot lately about supply chain. We are an intrinsic part of the supply chain, in that we move the ships around that get the cargo going from point A to point B internationally and globally. And so we consider ourselves an intrinsic and important part of the mission and the goals of the various and sundry armed services. The Academy was formed as a consequence of the Merchant Marine Act, which was put together by Congress in 1936. The Academy itself was founded in 1943. And as Franklin Delano Roosevelt pointed out when he dedicated the Academy, we serve the Merchant Marine much as West Point serves the Army, and much as Annapolis serves the Navy. We are an intrinsic part in that in the goals of those entities. Okay, Katie. The Merchant Marine Academy is located in Kings Point, New York, on the North Shore of Long Island. While you're at the Academy, you'll earn a Bachelor of Science degree, and it's a very competitive school, where you spend a lot of time interacting with people who are very much involved in a variety of different goals in their lives, and so you'll have a lot of choices to make. One of the intrinsic parts of the Academy is that of the 4 years, one of those years is spent at sea during a sea year, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. So the academics are quite difficult. It's not untypical to have a term with 20 and 24 credit hours because you are getting a Bachelor of Science degree in 3 years, with that the 4th year spent at sea. Okay, Katie. We feel like the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy offers a great many choices. You can, when you graduate, you can sail on active duty in the Merchant Marine, or you can go active duty in the in one of the armed forces, and almost 100% of our graduates are employed in the maritime industry. Right now, the industry is in particularly good shape, and so everyone's getting jobs. So if you're concerned about employment at the end of those 4 years, you needn't be, because there are a lot of opportunities. Okay, Katie. One of the features of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy is that you have the choice to go active duty at the end of when you graduate in any of the armed forces. None of the other academies offer this choice. And so if you want to go upon graduation, if you want to go into the Navy, which a good many people do, that's a very viable choice. But we also have graduates who become Coast Guardies. We have graduates who go into the Air Force. If you decide you want to fly, we have a number of graduates who go into other branches where they can become pilots. And we're very proud that we have an astronaut, Senator Mark Kelly in Arizona, was a 1986 graduate of the Academy, and also an astronaut, and piloted a number of very interesting different missions while going to space. Okay, Kate. The courses at the Academy break off primarily into two areas. One is engineering, and the other is marine transportation or nautical science. We don't offer medical degrees like our good friends at the Air Force Academy. We don't offer a lot of different majors and minors, but we have a great many of our people who do go into graduate school. And because of the kind of education that you get at the Academy, your ability to get accepted into a lot of these programs is pretty good. I'm a case in point, but I waited a number of years and finally decided to do an MBA and a doctorate, and it was well worth the wait. Unfortunately, career sometimes gets in the way, but the opportunities these days, especially with the virtual study, are significant, and I found that taking advantage of that was very valuable for me. Okay, Katie. As I mentioned, our core studies primarily branch off into the marine engineering, marine transportation side, and within marine engineering, you can undergo you can choose to go into engineering on board vessels, but you can also choose to, if you like, to go into port operations and things of that nature. In the marine transportation side, we have people going on to offshore oil rigs now, a lot of people going on to tugs, the Military Sea Lift Command, a great many different opportunities for sailing, especially on commercial vessels, containerized vessels, tankers, and things of that nature. Okay, Katie? We have a very diverse array of people going to the Academy. We pride ourselves on being the first of the service academies in 1974 of bringing in women to our student body, and they play a huge part in the graduates and the merchant mariners. Some people would think, well, are women going to sail on board vessels? Well, we have some very accomplished women who have become master mariners and who have made a big dent in how the merchant marine functions. We have about 25% of our student body are women, and our student body is around 1,100 people, 1,100 to 1,200 people at any one time. A typical class will be around 200 graduates. Okay, Katie? As I mentioned before, C-year is a big part of the training at the Academy. 1 year of the 4 is spent at sea on a variety of different opportunities. Merchant vessels, as I mentioned before, offshore oil rigs, tugs, and what have you. When I went on my C-year, I was on merchant ships, but I also sailed on tugs up and down the Mississippi River. So there are a lot of different ways that you can go. You have a C-year that is built around a sea project. So you don't go out to sea and just sit around and have fun. You have a submission that you have to make to the Academy, which involves the various and sundry subjects that are part of your specialization, whether it be engineering or marine transportation. Okay. Katie? Everybody goes to sea during sea year. It's a requirement for graduation. It's a Coast Guard requirement. And it's not by coincidence, I don't think, that I followed Lieutenant McAllister from the Coast Guard Academy, because the Merchant Marine and the Coast Guard have a very tight bond. Our license, one of the three things that you get when you graduate from the academy, is overseen by the U.S. Coast Guard. We also, during sea year, sail on Coast Guard vessels. So it's one of the options, one of the opportunities that you can get. We are overseen by the Department of Transportation. That's a little bit different than our fellow service academies who are primarily under DOD. The Department of Transportation oversees the academy through MARAD, which is the Maritime Administration, which is the outfit in Washington that is responsible for setting maritime policy for the United States. So they oversee the requirements for graduation and see to it that we receive the study, that we meet the criteria for our academic studies. Okay, Katie? One of the other parts of the training that is required is a sea internship. In addition to meeting the requirements of the sea project, as I mentioned before, we also have several weeks where we go to, we used to call it shipping office, where you spend time during senior year finding out what it's like to work with a merchant marine, a maritime company. And that's part of that sea internship that is listed there on the slide. Okay, Katie? The sports at the academy is a very big part of the activities that go on. We're Division III, and we compete very strongly in the various and the sundry sports, both for men and women. For example, in the fall, we won we came in first place as far as our division in football was concerned, but more importantly, is we beat Coast Guard. Lieutenant McAllister has taken himself off the screen. I was hoping to see him turn red. At any rate, the sports are a big part of what we do. As with most of the academies, you don't have to be a varsity athlete from high school. It helps, and there are a lot of people who are and who spend a great deal of time accomplishing some really interesting milestones as far as athletes are concerned. Every year we have a number of All-Americans in a variety of sports, and this year no different. We had a couple of All-Americans from our football team, for example. Okay, Katie. We have a very accomplished sailing team. We compete intercollegiately and internationally in a variety of different activities within the sailing team. And sailing is something that just about everyone who goes to the academy participates in one way or another. You can become a member of the sailing team and compete intercollegiately, but as part of graduation, we are also required to meet certain criteria as far as being able to get out on the water and sail the small boats around. Okay, Katie. We have some significant obligations as part of graduating from the academy. As you can see on the slide, you have to serve as a merchant marine officer aboard a ship for 5 years. You have to maintain and upgrade your U.S. Coast Guard license, and you also have to serve as a commissioned officer. Now, if you decide to go active duty, that meets the 5-year requirement that I mentioned before. But you are expected and you are required to either go into a reserve which many of the graduates do. They'll go active duty as far as sailing in the maritime industry, and will fulfill their military requirement through the through the reserve duty. For example, I was in the Naval Reserve when I graduated, and I immediately went overseas working in the maritime industry. The interesting experiences that you have by sailing on merchant vessels takes you to just about every part of the world. I was in Vietnam during the Vietnam era on merchant ships, and then later on sailed to Africa, west coast of South America, Europe. So you get the opportunity to see a number of different areas of the world while you're fulfilling the requirements for graduating. Okay, Katie. As I would like to point out, getting into Kings Point is not easy. The requirements for high school graduates are very strenuous. You need to be in the top ranking of your class. You need to have a resume that indicates that you have accomplished a lot of things during your time at the academy. Building that resume is something that when we interview potential candidates, we put a lot of emphasis on that, because if you have made good grades but sat at home playing video games, chances are that you're not the kind of person that's going to go to one of the federal academies. You have to have good SATs, you have to have good ACTs, and we like to see people who have done a lot of different things. But the important point is that when you graduate from any of the academies, and especially from Kings Point, you're graduating from one of the top ranked schools in the nation, and you can guarantee that you have been through a very tough environment to get where you're going. Not every high school graduate will be accepted, and not everyone who reports to the academy is there for the 4 years. But those that are have been able to accomplish a great many goals, and have and can satisfy themselves that they are in the topmost part of graduates throughout the United States. Thank you very much for your time today. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If you have any specific questions as far as admission to the academy, then I would strongly suggest that you reach out to the admissions office at the academy personally. Thank you very much, Katie.
Thank you. All right, next up, oh, and just to let everybody know, we did have a couple of questions come in the chat that I wanted to flag for everyone. As far as the photo for the application, the photo should just be something that you are comfortable with on a job resume or application. We do not have any technical requirements for that photo. All right, next up, we are going to hear from Major Mark Owens, representing the United States Military Academy at West Point.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my slides. Okay. All right. So again, good morning. Thank you to the Senator, first off, for hosting this event. And secondly, thank you to all those who have called in this morning to take the time to learn about the service academies and consider us. This is the United States Military Academy. Here's our agenda for the day. Before we get into it, I'd like to just share with you a little bit about myself. I am born and raised in New York. I came here to West Point and graduated in 2013. While here, I majored in civil engineering, branched as an engineer officer, also competed on the fencing team here, was captain our senior year, and led our team to beat Navy. Beyond graduation, been serving here now in the military for about 9 years. stationed in the continental US, Hawaii, and Italy. All that time getting to serve and train our foreign allies throughout the Asian Pacific, throughout Europe, and throughout Africa. So if any of that interests you, please stay tuned and consider West Point. All right. So the most important question, what can we, the United States Military Academy, offer you, the candidate? Well, here's our promise to you, our mission statement. We promise to educate, train, and inspire you to be leaders of character, to commission upon graduation, and become an officer in the United States Army. How do we do this? Well, we're going to challenge you in every pillar. We're going to challenge you academically, physically, and professionally through your military training and your character challenges. Where do we do this? Well, this is our beautiful campus. As you can see, everything is highly accessible. It is a walkable campus. You have your dorm rooms, you have your classrooms, and you have your athletic facilities, all within a stone's throw, all on the hallowed grounds of America's first military academy and engineering school. How are we doing? Well, I'll let the numbers speak for themselves. This is our current 2022 national rankings. Of note, Rhodes Scholars and Marshall Scholars on your left and right. Notice that we're competing with the best, the Ivy League schools. And of note, this year in particular, we beat out all of them. We tied Harvard with the Rhodes Scholars at 4, and we beat everybody with the Marshall Scholars at 3. You don't believe me? Look it up. How are we doing when it comes to our graduates? Well, again, this is a small sample size. We have our astronauts, we have our presidents, we have our Fortune 500 CEOs, and we have our professional athletes. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Coach K came from West Point. He cut his teeth as a basketball player here, as a cadet. Y'all might say this is too good to be true, but just like the other service academies, this is a fully funded education. Not just tuition, but the whole laundry list of resources are at your fingertips, to include a monthly stipend. That's right, we're paying you $250 to about $550 a month to be a cadet here and serve in our military upon graduation. So what's cadet life like? Well, like our other sister academies, we have our plethora of academic majors. You name it, we have it, from engineering to cyber to sociology, we run the gamut. Small class sizes, 15 to 18. I won't bore you with the details of the rest. I'll let you read it. This is an example of what what your calendar would look like. So first 2 years, it's core curriculum, right? That includes, as you can see, boxing, combatives, swimming. If you've never been punched in the face before, if you don't know how to swim, I promise you, you'll learn here. Everyone also takes a concentration in an engineering course. As you can see, your COW and first year, which is your junior and senior year, as we value the engineering roots that we come from. This is what your daily schedule might look like on day to day. You're waking up in the morning before 0650 formation for breakfast. You're going to class. You come back for lunch. You're going to class again. You head out for athletics because every cadet here is an athlete. You have some dinner and then you're studying, or it's your personal time. You're heading to bed and starting it over again. There's a lot of structure here for a reason. We see the potential in you, and we're there to help guide you on that path to achieve that potential. Here at NCAA Sports. So shout out to Air Force. I appreciate your hope on the undefeated season, but I'm pretty sure Army and Navy are going to have something to say about it. Here's our club sports. As I said, I was the captain of the fencing team. Highly recommend if you come here to join a club team at the very least. You get the opportunity to travel and build that camaraderie with your teammates. an amazing time here on the fencing team and got to travel throughout the East Coast to include Beaton Navy a few times. Your military journey. So each year, we're going to continue to develop you into the Army officers and leaders we expect you to be and you hope to become. So your first summer before your freshman year, we're going to bring you on campus and teach you what it means to be in the military. That second summer, we're going to introduce you to the various branches of the military. So you start to understand what opportunities there are and what you would potentially want to pursue. And then finally, prior to your junior and senior year, your Cal and first year, you'll have a plethora of opportunities to dive deep into your passions within the military. So personally for me, I was able to do CTLT, Cadet Troop Leader training, by shadowing an officer in Hawaii, an engineering officer, essentially served as a platoon leader with him for the better part of 2 months. And it was hard to beat finishing work at about 4 p.m. And then driving straight up to the North Shore to go surfing and swimming with sea turtles. I also did individualized advanced development. I did an academic version of that. As a civil engineer, I had the opportunity to fly out to Italy, and several of my classmates and one professor toured around all of Italy, researching the architecture in Rome, Venice, Florence for about a month. Life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Military qualifications. As a cadet here, I also earned my airborne wings, jumped out of planes, then pursued upon graduation my sapper tab, the equivalent of a ranger tab as an engineer, as well as my air assault wings. Okay, as a cadet here, around your junior year, you will select your branch of service. As you can see, we also run the gamut. I myself was an engineer, combat engineer, so I'm specialized in explosives, demolitions. Within a few months of graduating here at West Point, I found myself in Thailand, Korea, and the Philippines, leading about 30 soldiers, U.S. soldiers, and training hundreds of our foreign allies on live demolitions. And the Army entrusted me with that responsibility of being the senior leader on the ground. It's a lot of responsibility, but if you aspire to that, if you are hungry for that challenge, I guarantee you'll get it here. So the second most important question, how do you join the Long Gray Line, right? Our network of alumni. How do you become a cadet here? Well, here's our application process, the down and dirty. First, eligibility requirements. These are basic requirements that most of the service academies share. Second, there's 3 parts in order to become a cadet here at West Point. First, candidate application. Deadline is there. Second is the nomination. The senator already spoke about his specific deadlines and requirements. And third is medical qualification, as the other service academies have already discussed. Candidate application. This is how we evaluate you and compare you to your peers as you apply. Full transparency. Majority of your time should be spent on the academic, as it is weighted heavier than, let's say, the cadet fitness assessment, the physical fitness test. Please do not be afraid of the CFA. Go ahead and take it and get a score. It is not going to make or break your application so long as you pass. And leadership, school evaluations, your interview with the local field force, and your extracurricular activities. Similar to the other service academies, we are looking for leaders. So as much as we want to see a breadth of extracurricular activities and sports that you participate in, more importantly, we want to see those leadership roles that you're assuming as you go through your high school endeavors. And then, as I mentioned before, and as the senator mentioned as well, you have a nomination requirement. You can either pursue the congressional nominations, which is your 1 congressional representative within each of your districts, plus your 2 senators and your vice president. Or if you have parents who have served or are currently serving, you may qualify for a service-connected nomination. My advice, and I'm sure it's the same for the other service academies, is for you to pursue any and all nominations that you qualify for. to improve your chances of getting one. Finally, here's our class profile. Again, full transparency. If you feel like you fit this mold, if you fall into one of these categories, then West Point's the place for you. And we urge you and encourage you to apply. This is my contact information. Again, I'm the Southeast Regional Commander for Admissions. So if you live, of course, in North Carolina, but my district, my region spans from Maryland all the way down to Florida and Alabama. If you're calling in from one of those states, then I would love nothing more than to meet you and help you along your way. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a great day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. Our next presenter, and this is the final academy, and then we're going to move into National Guard and ROTC. But it is Ensign Kaiser. He is a 2022 graduate from the United States Naval Academy.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Just go ahead and present real quick. All right. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Ensign Jackson Kaiser. Like Katie mentioned, I just graduated from the Naval Academy in May with the class of 2022. Right now, I'm working in the admissions department at the Academy, doing stuff like this until I eventually go to flight school in Pensacola, Florida here in a few months. So let's get started. I'll join everyone else in saying that I think that we have the most beautiful campus out of any of the service academies. We're located in Maryland's capital, Annapolis. We're 25 miles away from Baltimore, and then also 25 miles away from Washington, D.C. On the yard itself, life sort of revolves around the nation's largest dormitory, Bancroft Hall. And connected to that dormitory, we have a number of student services. All of our medical facilities, including dental, optometry, orthopedic, physical therapy, are all actually connected to our dorm. Also connected is our barbershop, our laundry service, our post office, and we even have a cobbler that fixes our student shoes. Also on the yard, we have 22 world-class athletic facilities. We have 5 gyms, 3 pools, basketball courts, a soccer stadium, baseball stadium, sailing center, boathouse, hockey rink. So there's a lot going on the yard itself. Let's talk about our majors. We have 26 available majors broken into 3 schools. We have the School of Engineering and Weapons, the School of Math and Science, and the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'm just going to talk about 3 of our more recent majors. The first is cyber operations. We were actually the first school in the nation to have a standalone cyber operations major. We just built a brand new building to house this major. It's called Hopper Hall. That was completed during my time as a midshipman. Also new to the Naval Academy, just this year, I wasn't able to select this major. It's data science, which is also going to be in that building. Both of these sort of reflect the Navy's investment in producing officers who have training in the information and cyber warfare domain. Also brand new is the Foreign Area Studies major. I was a political science major at the Naval Academy. The Foreign Area Studies major takes a lot of my major and hones it in on a specific region, either the Middle East or the Indo-Pacific, and also adds some more foreign language training. Speaking of foreign languages, all of our minors are actually foreign languages. I minored in Japanese. Within the School of Humanities, everybody is required to take at least 4 semesters of a foreign language. To get a minor, you actually only have to take 6 semesters, so just 2 additional semesters of a foreign language. As you might have heard, the Naval Academy core curriculums across all service academies are very STEM intensive and academically challenging. That being said, it's very manageable because we give our students a lot of academic support. We really do that through 2 main ways. The first is our class size. We actually have a student-faculty ratio of 8-to-1, meaning that for every 1 professor we have, there are only 8 students. That allows us to have a really small class size, usually around 10 to 25 students. I can tell you that throughout my 4 years, I never had to sit in a 100-person lecture hall. I'd say the biggest class that I probably had was maybe 20-ish students, and that was considered a pretty large class for the Naval Academy. What that really allows us to do is develop close relationships with our faculty. One thing we do at the Naval Academy is called Extra Instruction, EI. It's basically where you can schedule a one-on-one sit down with your professor to either go over a concept that you don't really understand, work on homework problems, prepare for an exam. And what I would do and what a lot of my friends did was we would just set a meeting, once or twice a week for an hour at a time with these professors in some of the more challenging courses, just to make sure that we're progressing academically. Now, not only do we have civilian faculty, we also have military faculty at about a 1-to-1 ratio. All of our civilian faculty are PhD holders, meaning they're experts in their academic field. And our military faculty, for the most part, are career officers who are just coming out of a master's program and then coming to teach at the Naval Academy. So our faculty support us in a big way here at the Naval Academy. Now, let's talk about the daily schedule. Pretty similar to West Point in the sense that it's going to start early in the morning with personal conditioning. Here at the Naval Academy, we're producing junior officers. So the expectation is that not only can you perform to the physical standard, but also that you're able to lead physically. So this is some protected time to develop physically in the morning. After that, we have formation and breakfast. Formation is basically, if you've seen a bunch of people in the military standing in a line, that's a formation. It's a way for us to take accountability, first off, to make sure that everybody's awake, ready for the day, getting after it, and then also to pass word. So to make sure that everybody knows what's going on around the yard for that day and everybody's on the same page. After that, we have breakfast. We have one dining hall on the yard. It's called King Hall. It's where all 4,560 of our students eat together, family style, at the same time in about 30 minutes. And we do that 3 times a day. After breakfast, there are 4 academic periods in the morning, followed by a break at noon for another formation and lunch, and then 2 more academic periods in the afternoon. At 4 p.m., we have an athletic period. That's when our varsity and club athletes are going to go to practice, and the rest of our students are going to either participate in intramurals, work out with friends, altogether just be active. Following that, there's formation and dinner at 6 p.m., and then from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. is what we call academic study period. You've seen that we've had some time set aside for developing physically throughout the day. This is really a time to develop mentally and work on academics. No other trainings, meetings, briefings can be scheduled during this time. This is solely for our students to work on their homework to progress academically. So varsity sports, we compete along with West Point and the Air Force Academy at the NCAA Division 1A level. It's the top level in collegiate athletics. I'm going to back up the major on saying that there's no way Air Force beats Navy this year. We're actually the #1 school in the country in the number of varsity sports that we offer. We just added men and women's rugby to this list. And if you have any interest in our athletic programs, some of the camps that we put on in the summer, navysports.com has all the information on our athletics program and also contact information for our coaches, stuff like that. So ECAs, I'm just going to give you sort of a brief snapshot of what we offer here at the Academy. We have a ton of ECAs. The main reason is because it's really easy to start a club or an ECA at the Academy. All it takes is 2 midshipmen and then an officer representative to sponsor the club. So if you don't see anything up here that you want to participate in or that you do participate in, when you come to the Academy, you could definitely start it up. That being said, we have cultural clubs like French Club, German Club. We have music clubs like Glee Club, which is our choir. We have service-oriented clubs like the Midshipman Action Group, which is kind of like Key Club, if anyone participates that at their high school. We also have academic clubs like Debate Team and Model United Nations. We have a ton of religious clubs and also military professional clubs like the Flying Club if you're interested in aviation, or even a scuba club. So pay and benefits wise, all of our students are on a full scholarship, meaning tuition's covered, room and board is covered, and then also because all of our students are also in the military, they have medical and dental coverage. Not only that, but we pay our students. Basically, the way this works is when you come to us on your first day at the Naval Academy, you're coming with just the clothes on your back. We're going to issue you all the stuff that you need to be successful during your 4 years here at the Academy. All your uniforms, all your school supplies, a printer, a monitor, personal computer, new socks, new shoes, you name it. It's all given to you. So what we do is we deduct those expenses from your pay. And as you go through your time here at the academy, you will have paid off more and more of those expenses. So you earn more money. When you're a freshman, you're going to get about $125 per month. By the time you're a senior, it's about $500 a month. So long story short, you're on full scholarship and you're getting paid to go to school. All of our graduates graduate with a Bachelor of Science. That's because our core curriculum is STEM intensive, just like the major was talking about. So even myself as a political science major, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science. Our English majors, our Chinese majors, all graduate with a Bachelor of Science. We're all commissioned as officers in either the Navy or the Marine Corps, and we all take on at least a 5-year service commitment, depending on the community that we select into. Let's talk about some of the summer programs that we offer here at the Naval Academy. So for any rising 9th, 10th, or 11th graders, we have what's called a STEM camp. This is more of an intro to the academic side of the Naval Academy. So you're going to be able to meet our students, meet our professors, work in our labs, and really get an intro to how we approach STEM here at the Naval Academy. The application window is from early January to the end of March. There is a tuition fee associated, but we offer pretty robust financial aid and scholarships. For any rising seniors, we have what's called Summer Seminar. This is a really good intro to the military side of the Naval Academy. You're actually going to be able to participate in a lot of the trainings and evolutions that you would be doing during plebe summer, which is our basic training, essentially. Same application window as Summer STEM, also a tuition, but again, robust financial aid and scholarships available. So basic eligibility to come to the Naval Academy, you have to be at least 17 and you can't be past your 23rd birthday for the first day that you come to the Naval Academy. You also have to be a United States citizen by that induction day, that first day that you come here, and you can't be married, pregnant, or have any legal obligation to support another person. And of course, you must be of good moral character. So this is our website. This is actually where you're going to apply to the Naval Academy, and it's the go-to resource on any information about what going to the Naval Academy is actually like. So let's kind of go over the candidate cycle. It's going to begin in your junior year when you kind of start to take the ACT and SAT. From there, you're looking at that summer seminar application. If you fill this out, this will actually serve as your preliminary application to the Naval Academy. If you don't fill it out, just the standalone preliminary application is going to open up in April. That summer will be summer seminar. And then in September, the first admissions board is going to meet. The deadline to open a new application is December 31st. And then the application deadline to actually submit your application is January 31st. From there, all of our candidates will be notified of their status by April 15th. And then really the next big date that you're looking at is actually coming to the Naval Academy to join the next class. So kind of a broad overview of what the admissions process actually looks like. So you start out with that preliminary application. Again, you can either do that in the standalone application or by applying through summer seminar. From there, you're going to become an official candidate where we give you a candidate number and you'll have access to the candidate information system, which is where you actually fill out your application. And from there, you're really looking to check 4 boxes. First off, you have to finish the application so we can get it to the admissions board. You have to physically qualify through that CFA and then medically qualify through DODMER. And then on your own, you have to obtain a nomination. Now from there, that makes you eligible to compete for an appointment. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're in. After that, the admissions board at the Naval Academy will then make a determination of whether or not we're going to offer you an appointment. Built into this admissions process is our preparatory schools. So we have a preparatory school in Rhode Island and also some foundation civilian prep programs throughout the country. So you don't have to apply separately to these. This is built in just to the regular process. And really this is for people who we think would be a great fit at the Naval Academy, but just need a little bit more extra academic preparation before they go to the Naval Academy. So some advice from me on how to get in. First off, the Naval Academy is very STEM centric. So build that strong foundation in math and science now while you're in high school. Try and take pre-calc or calc, and if your school doesn't offer it, Algebra 2 with trigonometry is always a good option. Try and get some exposure to those science courses with labs if possible, because that's what you're going to be doing here at the Naval Academy. We don't have a minimum GPA, but we generally say try and be in the top 20% of your class. Take your SAT and ACT early and often. I can say I took the SAT 4 times, the ACT 5 times. We do super score at the Naval Academy, not only within a single test like the ACT, but also across tests. So we may take your best math score if it was on the SAT, your best English score from the ACT, combine those to give you your best possible super score. AP honors and IB courses are encouraged. That being said, don't overdo it and then end up hurting your GPA. And finally, be well-rounded. You know, at the Naval Academy, we're trying to produce junior officers, people who can lead sailors and Marines. Show us that you have some leadership potential. Be active in athletic and non-athletic activities. Build that resume. So top 5 reasons to go Navy. Number 1, you're on a full scholarship and you're getting paid to go to school. Number 2, guaranteed employment. Within a month of graduating, I've hit the ground running on my career as a naval officer. Number 3, I would actually say that we have the best location out of any of the service academies. We're right on the Severn River. Downtown Annapolis is right outside our gate. We're right next to Baltimore, right next to Washington, D.C. Leadership and character development. Like I just said, we're not producing scholars, we're producing junior officers. So we invest in your leadership ability, we invest in your character, and finally, we have an 89% graduation rate. Here's how you can get in touch with us. The top is our website. That's how you actually apply. If you're an athlete or interested, navysports.com. And finally, this is the goal. This is what I just did in May. I can tell you that there's no better feeling than throwing that hat in the air. I know getting to a service academy is a long process, so I wish you all the best of luck. And I look forward to your questions. So thanks.
Thank you so much. So I do have a couple of questions that were asked in the chat that we'll get to at the end of the program. So as you've heard today, getting into these academies, it's very difficult. And of course, you know, the senator only has so many nominations he can give. And we have a very high number and high volume of folks that are applying for these nominations. So if an academy isn't necessarily what works out for you, we do have 2 additional opportunities of service to the country that the senator wanted to make sure to highlight. The first is the North Carolina National Guard, and I'm going to pass it over to Captain Kopp, who is with the Recruiting and Retention Battalion and based out of Raleigh.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, thank you, Katie. I think you stole a little bit of my thunder. And so what I've learned today, this is the first time I've heard this presentation, and I wish I would have heard it 30 years ago. But yeah, 400 applicants and only 10 selected. Very competitive, all extremely good programs, all extremely good presentations. And I'm kind of happy for you guys that you've learn this, because I didn't get that opportunity to learn it. I'm going to try to share my screen right now. All right. So what Katie said is, yeah, I'm Captain Christopher Kopp with the Recruiting Retention Battalion, and I'm also the Officer Strength Manager for the state. And what I want to go over, so say you don't get selected for one of these awesome programs and get to, you know, play with the good Army football team and beat Air Force, got to get that dig in there. But if you don't get selected, so what is the North Carolina Army National Guard? So we're a reserve component. We're not active duty, but we have a dual mission. The good thing about this is you don't have to go anywhere. So if you join the North Carolina Army National Guard, you get to do a dual mission, meaning federal and state. So we can deploy, to Iraq, Afghanistan, but we also do humanitarian missions. So say that we have a hurricane that hit North Carolina, we're able to do that too. Or fires, we can do fires, all that kind of stuff. But you get to stay in North Carolina. So you can have an Army position in the Guard, and you can have a civilian position. So you can bring different skills, to the needs of the Army. So the Army National Guard, we do 1 weekend per month, and that allows you to do, so say you're an engineer on the civilian side, you can do something completely different on the Army side. So if you don't like boats, personally, I get seasick, and I used to crew on, a Chinook helicopter. I got airsick, so I like my feet on the ground. So if you like tanks, you could do that. Or if you like chemical, you can do that. You saw from the major's presentation of West Point, there's all different kinds of fields you can do opposite of what you do on your civilian side. The next thing, so I already went over this, but the state duties. So we do natural disasters. We did heavily COVID-19 response from 2019, and that's kind of died off a little bit. And then I'm sure everybody's seen in the news, civil unrest when they call the Guard, to help the president or something, or the governor of the state. So what do we offer? That's kind of, it's not unique, but so you don't get selected, we still are able to pay for your in-state tuition. It's 100% tuition, 400 or 4,400 per year at private colleges, and then you also get a stipend for and can use your Montgomery GI Bill, $397 a month. Oh, sorry. Or we do a simultaneous membership program. It's what we call the SMP program, and that's your local ROTC. So throughout North Carolina, we have over 26 ROTC programs in sister schools that you can still get your education fully paid and compete for active duty slots. So you get paid as an E5, and then you get an additional $420 a month ROTC stipend. Once you're in school, you can't be mobilized. So once you get your SMP contract, so that way you can complete school, get your education done, and then either serve in the North Carolina Army National Guard or serve active duty. And then there's additional scholarship opportunities. So for the state of North Carolina, I get 12 of these Minuteman GRFD scholarships. And what they are is that they're guaranteed scholarships for the National Guard. They're all 4-year scholarships. So you can start applying when you're a senior. The application dates normally end August 5th. So you have from April of 2023 to August 5th, if this is an option that you're interested. And it also includes 100% tuition and fees or 5,000 semester room and board. Next slide. And that's pretty much all I have for my presentation. So as you can see, I have 3 contacts for you if you want to take a picture of this screen. And Captain Lewis is actually getting replaced. He'll be gone, and he's gone now. So I'll have a new basic branch recruiter that you can talk to if you're interested in joining the Army National Guard. That concludes my presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. So our final opportunity that we are going to discuss today is the Reserve Officer Training Corps, better known as ROTC. The Air Force, Army, and Navy all have their own programs, and these programs are there are thousands of programs across the country. You've heard some of the presenters discuss it already, but today we do have a representative from North Carolina State University's Air Force ROTC. And if you're interested in either Army or Navy ROTC, please let me know, and I'm happy to try and find a contact for you for additional information. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Captain Derek Loftus.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Give me a second here. I will share my slides. And I actually do have some contact information for the other ROTCs at the end of my slideshow for Army and Navy. As Katie mentioned, I'm the Air Force ROTC specifically, but there are Navy and Army ROTCs as well. I think Captain Kopp actually talked about the National Guard programs with the Army ROTC. So I hope everybody can see my slides here. So we'll do an introduction to Air Force ROTC. So here's the mission of our Air Force ROTC. So we want to develop leaders of character for today's and tomorrow's Air Force and Space Force. So as the Lieutenant mentioned, for the Air Force Academy, Air Force ROTC is also a commissioning source for the U.S. Space Force. So here's an overview of the different things that we will talk about here real quick. All right, so the Air Force ROTC program, we are the largest commissioning source for Air Force officers. So the Academy has their fixed number that they do each year, and then we have what's called Officer Training School as well for those people who already have their degree and want to join up as an officer. But then the bulk of the officer corps comes from ROTCs. We're located at 145 different colleges. Then there's some additional colleges you can go to if they're nearby to one that has an ROTC. So for example, people go to Meredith or William Peace University here in Raleigh. They can also attend ROTC at NC State. They'll take classes every day, just like any other college student, and then they'll have additional military classes. We're under what we call the Department of Aerospace Studies. That is the Air Force ROTC specifically. And our instructors are all active duty officers. So I teach the freshman class, and we have a couple other officers here who teach the various different levels. Generally about an 8 to 10 hour commitment per week, but that can fluctuate based on how many extra activities you want to do. You know, if you want to join the Honor Guard, or work on Arnold Air Society's kind of a little service organization, stuff like that. You can time up a little bit more. We do have a couple special programs that we do as well, similar to some of the summer opportunities at the various academies. So we have Project Global Officer. That's actually a DoD-wide program. So any ROTC can do that, not just Air Force. That allows you to take language classes and in some cases even go over to some foreign nations to do a little language immersion. And that's all paid for, so you don't have to pay anything on that. The Lieutenant mentioned Ops Air Force at the Air Force Academy. Our scholarship cadets also get an opportunity to do that in ROTC as well. And then there's a couple of exchange programs over the summer with the Air Force Academy where they can go do the SOAR program, which is on the gliders. They have a powered flight as well. So several of our cadets get opportunities to go do some of those summer programs in addition to their schooling here. So our program is nominally a 4-year program, broken down into the first 2 years being the general military course and the second 2 years being your professional officer course. So general military course, that's kind of you're in there, you're getting taught how to be in the military, kind of getting led by the upperclassmen. Then you go to what we call field training. That's in between your sophomore and junior years, where you'll go for about a 2-week, similar to a basic training type thing, but a little more focused on leadership operations rather than just kind of do what you're told stuff in a basic training. But once you complete that, you'll come back as professional officer course, and then those are the people who are running most of the cadet operations. So when we do leadership lab, for example, it's generally the upperclassmen cadets who are leading everything. It gives you a little opportunity to kind of learn how to be in the military and then learn how to instruct and lead everyone for your last couple of years. All right, talked about field training a little bit already. It's about 15 days long, summer between sophomore and junior year. This is the competitive kind of weed out process in the Air Force ROTC. So you do have to receive a nomination to go to field training. That kind of varies year to year exactly what the acceptance rate is. We've seen some years as low as 50% nationally, and then other years as high as in the upper 90s. So it's really not real able to predict that too far out. Scholarships, what everybody's kind of interested in. So big thing I'll point you to is down at the bottom of the slide there, airforcerotc.com. That's where you can apply. I would encourage everyone to go ahead and apply for the ROTC scholarship. It's not mutually exclusive with the academy, so you can apply to both of them and then see which one you want to do once you get down the road a little bit to it. So I would go ahead and apply everybody for these. The GPA requirement is a 3.0 unweighted GPA, and that is kind of taken at the end of your junior year. So anything after or during your senior year is not going to apply towards that. The 1240 and 26, that's the minimum SAT and ACT scores respectively for ROTC scholarships. This year, they are only offering what we call Type 1 scholarships. That is a full tuition and fees. However, none of the ROTC scholarships pay for room and board. So that's something to keep in mind. There's kind of the classes that we take. So we've got our aerospace studies classes, 100 through 400. There's one each semester. And then the first number is kind of the year. So your first one's introduction to the Air Force, a lot of history, a lot of basic information about the military. Sometimes we have people come in who do know a lot about the military. You know, maybe their parents are in, and so they have a good idea on it. But then other ones you have come in don't know much about the military. So we kind of level that playing field a little bit and teach everybody all the stuff. Your 200 year, you learn a lot more about history in the Air Force, and you do some more leadership kind of preparation for that field training. 300 and 400 year, as you can see, the credit hours go up from a 1 hour class to a 3 hour class once you get to that leader status. We have a leadership lab as well. You can see there on the slides kind of the different focus areas for each group. So AS 100 being freshmen up to 400 being your seniors. And we do physical training twice a week as well. We do have some extracurricular activities like I talked about there, the honor guard. So we get to present the colors at a lot of football games, basketball games, various other events around in the Raleigh area. So it's a good opportunity for our cadets to kind of show off themselves a little bit. And Honor Layer Society and Silver Wings are both some various service organizations that get to do a couple little fun things. Honor Layer Society, they're both big national organizations, so they have some conventions here and there. Let our cadets get out into the wider world some. So that's what I talked about there. Primary thing here is, the big difference between these academies and something like an ROTC. Academy is a 100% all the time commitment. You're doing military stuff all the time. Whereas with the ROTCs, you get to do a little bit of regular college student stuff on the side and then come in and do ROTC. And at the end of the day, everybody ends up commissioning who finishes the program. So you'll be an officer either way. With that, here is the information for the various different ROTCs. I put the Air Force set up there on top. That one goes pretty much straight to me. And then the last two there are Army and Navy. Now, obviously, these are all at NC State. But you can pretty easily find ones for other schools, and they can point you in the direction of whatever you need there. So go ahead and take a picture of that slide if you'd like to see it. Other than that, I am standing by for any questions.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing about all the opportunities that are ahead of you. We did get a couple of questions in the chat that I did want to highlight for everyone. The first one that I thought was kind of applicable to everybody is how strongly would you recommend doing the summer sessions? So as you've heard, a lot of the academies, I think actually all of the academies do have summer programs for high school students. And a lot of the participants, our panelists today, answered in the chat. And it sounds like kind of the overwhelming response was, it's a fabulous opportunity. It really gives you the chance to see what life is like at an academy, but it's not necessarily going to be a differentiator on your application. So I think it gives you that experience and kind of confirms that you want to go to a service academy. So do any of y'all have anything to add? Or does that kind of summarize?
I have one thing, Katie. Just statistically speaking, for the Coast Guard Academy class of 2026, 55% of our applicants attended that AIM program. Now, it's not a requirement and it's not a guarantee, but it is a great way to differentiate yourself for our application process, and that's specific to the Coast Guard Academy. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Perfect. Thank you. And as the Senator's office gets that information, we do try to share that with all of the principals and schools across the state to try and get that information to you. You would also be able to find information on the Academy's websites about those programs. The second thing that somebody had asked is what a student can do to prepare, whether that's a freshman, sophomore, junior in high school, that they're not quite at the application process. So what I know we would recommend is solid academics, really focusing, if you're able to, on those STEM courses. That's kind of been a consistent theme throughout. If AP and IB classes are available, go ahead and try and get into those, but don't overwhelm yourself with them. While I know on our end, when we're looking at your applications for the nomination, we do consider there are some schools that don't offer that. And I know that, that is taken into account as well. Extracurriculars, making sure that you are physically active, whether that's a varsity sport or a club sport at your school, or even, kind of outside of your high school. Volunteering and holding jobs are looked at. These academies are really looking for well-rounded applicants. What else? And then again, the summer session, while it won't always make a difference on your application, just giving you that idea and that experience. Do any of the representatives have anything else to add?
Katie, I think you hit, this is Dave Sanborn. I think you hit the nail on the head. We look hard at the STEM courses. And if you haven't done physics and calculus and chemistry, those kinds of courses, by the time you're a junior, you still have time to do that. But we highly recommend that they get that earlier, because if you don't have it, chances of acceptance are, I mean, you can have the greatest resume in the world, but if you have not done those courses, and we find when we do the personal interviews, when we do the interview panels, we find that normally the most successful candidates, even if they go to a high school that doesn't offer something, there's almost always a community college. And if they have made the effort to go to a community college and take a quarter or two of one of the STEM courses, we put a lot of, we grade them highly on those kinds of efforts.
Perfect. So I think that those were the two big questions I saw. A couple of reminders from our office. Your application has to be 100% complete by the deadline. I believe that deadline is October 21st. And one reminder, just to make sure that that everybody on the call fully understands, you have to apply for both your nomination and you have to apply to the academy. Those are two separate application processes, and while they go hand in hand, you do have to have both of those. One thing that our office does check is to make sure that you do have an open application with the academy that you are requesting the nomination. So please make sure that you've done that. Again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact Scott and I. We both share the email account academynominations_Tillis at tillis.senate.gov. You can also reach out to us in our Raleigh or Charlotte offices of the Senator, and those phone numbers can be found at tillis.senate.gov. We will keep updates on the Academy page on the Senator's website, and we're here to help. If you need to be connected to any of the panelists today, please let us know. And we appreciate everybody hopping on, and the Senator really appreciates all of the panelists and the board. And I hope that this was helpful to everybody that joined. Scott or any of the panelists, y'all have anything else to say?
Yeah, I did want to clarify. I answered a question in the chat about when you can start your application. For the academies, I believe juniors can start their application beginning in February of this year. For our application for a nomination, you have to be a second semester junior, because this application cycle is for anyone that would be entering an academy in 2023. But if you're a first semester junior, my understanding is that you can already begin your application process to an academy.
Well, on behalf of Senator Tillis, thank you again for joining us today. And please reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank y'all so much.